How do I focus? How do I focus on that one thing and not get distracted by the whole other interests and other things that I have? I want you to know that this can be solved. Just relax, grab a cup of coffee as we continue in this conversation. The reason I am doing this video is because I got a feedback from quite a number of persons from the previous video where I talked about how you can identify your one interest amongst all your multiple passion. And people came up with questions like, okay, I now know what this passion is. I now know my ikigai. How do I focus on my ikigai? Here we are talking about how to focus on this one thing that is your ikigai. I am someone who knows how to do a lot of things very well, and I find myself doing so many things at the same time, doing one thing and the next minute I'm switching to something else. I find myself in a constant context switching where I find myself doing one thing and the next minute I'm doing something else, and at the end of the day I end up not being able to complete all of these tasks. This video is going to answer the so many questions in your head on how to focus and get one thing done. Basically, the problems we have in terms of context switching is the inability to take one task at a time. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the things that you can do to help you narrow down your focus and get one task done at a time. The reason why we end up having context switching is because we find ourselves doing stuff that are not even relating to the previous task we were doing before, and end up leaving that previous task abandoned without completion. Now, the first way you can help yourself focus on a task and get it done is by taking one task at a time. Let me use myself for an example. As a content creator, before you bring out your content to publish it out there for your audience to see, there is what we call scripting, there is what we call filming, there is what we call editing, there is what we call posting, and there is what we call content engagement. All of these are different areas of a content before you can post them, before you can get it out to your audience. The content needs to pass through a whole lot. Now, I want to I for instance, now I'm giving myself a task that today is Monday and today I want to post a content on my social media platforms. And I wake up on Monday morning, I go ahead to write out my script for the content. That same Monday, I want to film and record that content. That same Monday, I want to edit that content. That same Monday, I want to publish that content on my social media platforms. And I also expect to, do a follow up on that content for that day to get to a larger audience. All of these things I want to do are very good things. They are task that I really want to achieve, but I find myself not being able to do all of that in one day because it is a lot. This is where batching comes in. This is where picking one task at a time comes in. Let me tell you this for free. You cannot focus on more than one thing at a time. You have to focus your mind and your brain on completing and finishing a particular task. You can decide to create all of these in different days and run them in a week. This will help you stay focused. For instance, now I can decide to say, okay, on Mondays are for scripting. So I know that Monday I'm going to script like maybe 2 or 3 contents that I'm going to post for the week. So that Monday I give all my attention to scripting. I give all my attention to scripting. And when I do that, I'm giving my very best and my all to that scripting because I am not thinking of the next thing I want to do for that day. I have already scheduled in my head and in my mind that, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. And I focus on achieving a successful scripted content. That's for Monday. Then on Tuesday, I can decide to do all the recordings. For those content I scripted on Monday, I can decide to record them on Tuesday. I know Tuesday is for recording. I focus all my energy in recording those scripted contents. A person that focuses on a particular task for 1 hour and a person that focuses on that same task for 5 hours, I believe you know that the outcome cannot be the same. Now, I used to be a person with a very long to do list for no reason. And at the end of the day, I'm overwhelmed because I'm not being able to complete the to do list for that day. But when I begin to pay attention to these things, I begin to realize that I was packing together some things that would take me an hour to complete, some tasks that will take me 5 minutes to complete, some tasks that will take me 5 hours to complete. I was packing all of these tasks in one day. Of course, that would be difficult to even achieve anything. For example, designing a content on Canva and also wanting to write like 2 articles for my channel. How is that even possible? Or wanting to edit a YouTube video and at the same time wanting to batch 10 videos on my TikTok. Can't you see how annoying it is already? So packing up all of these tasks in one day or packing up all of these tasks in a to-do list can be very, very cumbersome and so difficult to achieve. I'm going to share with you a very simple plan that will help you to focus on one thing and get it all figured out. The first thing first, when you wake up in the morning hours, the first 5 to 6 hours of the morning is a very good time to do a whole lot of things for that day, because that is the time you are awake, you're full of energy, and you have all the strength to actually sit down and do the activities you have for the day. Majority of the times when you wake up in the morning, there is this temptation to want to go to social media and pick up your phone to do whatever it is you want to do on social media. When you wake up in the morning and you pick up your phone, probably scrolling through your social media platforms and all of that, you discover that by the end of it, your day is already messed up because you've gone through so many activities on social media. You're already messed up. You've already messed up the hours that you were supposed to bring out productivity out from you. The first thing for you to do when you wake up in the morning is focusing on the most important things. So you start with the most important things for the day and get it done. Do not pick out the things that are less important and start with for that day. By so doing, you end up achieving little or nothing for that day. The best thing to do when you wake up in the morning, instead of picking up your phone and scrolling through social media, pick up your book. Pick up a book and read. Preferably, you can pick up your Bible to read, or pick up a book that will enlighten you and awaken your energy, that will empower you to want to push and strive for the day. That is the best thing to do in the morning when you wake up, and then you start with the most important activities for that day. For instance, I wake up this day and I want to create a content for that day. I want to go to the market for grocery shopping. I also want to go pick up a parcel from the transportation company. Those are the three things I have planned out to do for that day. Now, I will first of all start with the most important thing for that day, which is my content creation, which is actually my job. I will start up with that for the day. And by the time I'm going out for my grocery shopping or going to pick the parcel that I have in the transport company, I know I have already achieved something for that day. Assuming I start my day by going out to pick that parcel that I am receiving or to go for my grocery shopping, by the time I return and I want to do my content creation or I want to get my job done, my whole head and my whole being is already overwhelmed with probably the traffic from the road or other distractions along the way as I went for the shopping and as I went for the pickup, so it will be messed up and I will not be so productive in that content creation that I wanted to do. So picking out the most important thing and starting with that for the day is very, very important. Another plan that I have for you to stay focused and make sure to complete a particular task is batching. And by batching, you batch daily, weekly, and monthly. Now, there are tasks that you cannot finish in a day. Why put in those tasks in your to-do list to be completed for one day? Tasks like producing a content. I gave you an example of producing a content. You have to pass through scripting, you have to pass through recording, you have to pass through editing, publishing, and engaging your audience. All of those things, you can't achieve them in one day. So, for that kind of task, you give yourself like a weekly or a monthly schedule to get that achieved. There are other tasks that you can be able to achieve for a day. You put those tasks to be achieved for on a daily platform. Then the ones that you can achieve on a weekly platform, on a weekly basis, you put those tasks to be achieved on a weekly basis. By the time you begin to batch all of these tasks into days, weeks, and months, you can be able to account for something that you focused on and you were able to achieve. Taking one task at a time and also batching this task into days, weeks, and months, you find yourself focusing, starting, and finishing a particular task. Thank you for staying with me on up till this time. Drop your questions if you have any in the comment section, and tell me what you think about this video in the comment section. I would love to read your comments. Until I see you again in my next video. Bye bye.